Hey guys, tonight we slip into the velvet embrace of a starry Greek night, where the air hums with divine drama and the moonlight casts shadows of jealousy across Mount Olympus. Picture yourself perched on a rocky outcrop, the cool stone biting into your palms, as you stare up at a sky so clear it feels like you could pluck the stars. Hera, queen of the gods, rules this celestial stage, her eyes sharp as the crescent moon, watching for any flicker of betrayal. You're about to dive into her world of power, envy, and cosmic grudges. Honestly, you probably won't survive this unscathed, because Hera's wrath is no joke. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you're listening from tonight. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You stand on the slopes of Olympus, the night air thick with the scent of pine and myrtle, as Hera's presence looms like a storm cloud laced with silver. The moonlight bathes her throne, carved from clouds and studded with pearls, in an ethereal glow that makes your skin prickle. She's not just a goddess, she's the queen, the one who holds the reins of marriage, motherhood, and divine order. Her eyes, sharp as obsidian, scan the heavens, and you can almost feel the weight of her gaze. The Greeks worshipped her as the protector of Argos, her sacred city, where temples rose like silent sentinels under her watch. But there's a whisper in the air tonight, a rumor that's older than the stars themselves. Hera's jealousy burns brighter than the moon. You've heard the stories. Zeus, her husband, has a wandering eye, and every mortal maiden or nymph he chases stokes Hera's fury. Historians still argue whether her jealousy was divine righteousness or petty spite, but you're here to see it for yourself. The moonlight shifts, and you catch a glimpse of Hera's peacock, its tail feathers glinting like a galaxy. In ancient Greece, this bird was her sacred emblem, its eyes said to watch the world for her. You follow its slow strut across the marble floor of her celestial palace, the tiles cool under your bare feet. The night feels alive, humming with secrets. You notice the way the stars seem to dim when Hera's mood darkens, as if they're afraid to shine too brightly. A quirky tidbit floats through your mind. Some ancient poets claimed Hera's peacock wasn't just a symbol but a spy, its 1,000 eyes reporting every indiscretion back to her. You smirk. Imagine a goddess outsourcing her surveillance to a bird. But don't laugh too loud, she might hear you. The air grows heavier, and you sense her power, a force that could reshape destinies with a flick of her wrist. You're standing in her domain now, and the moonlight feels like it's watching you too. You step closer to her throne, the clouds parting to reveal a view of the mortal world below. Cities twinkle like scattered embers, and you wonder what it's like to be Hera, forever balancing love and vengeance. Her marriage to Zeus is the stuff of legend, but it's no fairy tale. He's the king of the gods, sure, but his affairs are as numerous as the stars you're staring at. You can almost hear Hera's thoughts, sharp and bitter, as she gazes at the same sky. She's not just a scorned wife, she's a queen who demands respect. The moonlight catches her crown, a golden band woven with laurel leaves, and you realize she's not just jealous. She's a force of nature, her emotions as vast as the night itself. You chuckle softly, thinking of how Zeus must tiptoe around her temper. Bad move, buddy. Hera's not the forgiving type. As you linger, the wind carries a faint song, like a lullaby sung by the muses. It's soothing, but there's an edge to it, like a warning. Hera's power isn't just in her wrath, it's in her ability to shape the world from this lofty perch. You feel small, like a mortal caught in a cosmic soap opera. The moonlight pools around you, and you notice how it seems to pulse with Hera's mood. Bright one moment, shadowed the next. You're starting to understand her, this goddess who's both radiant and ruthless. The night is young, and there's so much more to uncover about her reign. You take a deep breath, the air cool and crisp, and let the moonlight guide you deeper into her story. You're still on Olympus, the moonlight now a soft veil draping the marble columns around you, but the air hums with something new, whispers, like secrets slipping through the cracks of the night. They're not just any whispers, they're the voices of gods and spirits, murmuring about Hera, the queen whose throne you glimpsed moments ago. You lean closer, the cool stone of a nearby pillar pressing against your shoulder, and catch fragments of their tales. They speak of her divine authority, how it holds the heavens together like the stitches of a cosmic tapestry, but also of the envy that trails her like a shadow. The moonlight seems to pulse with every word, as if it's jealous of the stars stealing its glow. You're drawn into this celestial gossip, your bare feet silent on the marble as you move toward the source, a shimmering pool reflecting the night sky. Hera's power isn't just about ruling beside Zeus, it's about commanding respect from every deity on this mountain. You learn that in ancient Greece, her temples in Argos and Samos were grander than most, packed with offerings from mortals begging for her favor in marriage or childbirth. Her authority was no myth, it shaped laws and rituals across city-states. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some old stories claim Hera once turned a rival goddess's hair into snakes just for looking at Zeus too long. Snakes. You stifle a laugh, imagining the poor deity trying to style that mess. Historians still argue whether these tales were meant to warn mortals or just spice up temple gossip, but you can feel the truth in the air tonight. Hera's jealousy isn't just personal, it's a force that ripples through the divine and mortal worlds alike. You pause by the pool, its surface like liquid moonlight, and see faint images flickering, scenes of Hera's wrath. There's a story about a mortal woman, a princess, who caught Zeus's eye. Hera didn't just fume, she sent a storm to wreck the girl's city. You wince, thinking of the collateral damage. Talk about overkill. The whispers grow louder, and you catch a name, Leto, another of Zeus's flings. Hera's envy turned her life into a cosmic chase, forcing Leto to wander under the same moonlight you're standing in. You glance up, half expecting to see Hera's eyes in the stars, watching you as you piece together her story. The night feels alive, each breeze carrying a hint of her mood. Calm now, but ready to snap like a taut bowstring. You move away from the pool, your steps echoing faintly, and notice the moonlight casting long shadows of olive trees, their branches twisting like dancers frozen mid-step. It's peaceful, but you're not fooled. Hera's authority comes with a price. Every god knows to tread lightly around her. You smirk, thinking of Zeus trying to sweet-talk his way out of trouble. Good luck, pal. Hera's got a memory sharper than that peacock's gaze you saw earlier. The whispers fade, but their weight lingers, painting Hera as both majestic and menacing. You wonder what it's like to wield that kind of power, to have the heavens bend to your will, yet still burn with envy under the moon's cold light. The night stretches on, and you feel drawn deeper into her world, the stars above whispering new secrets just out of reach. You're wandering now, drawn away from the whispering pool, your feet brushing against soft grass as the moonlight guides you to a grove where Hera's sacred peacock struts with purpose. Its tail feathers catch the lunar glow, each eye-like spot shimmering as if it holds a secret of its own. You pause, crouching low, the scent of wild thyme tickling your nose, and watch the bird move with a grace that feels almost too deliberate. This isn't just any peacock, it's Hera's sentinel, said to guard her interests across the mortal and divine realms. The night is quiet, save for the faint rustle of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl, but you feel like you're being watched, those 1,000 eyes in the peacock's tail sizing you up. The moonlight bathes the grove in silver, and you're starting to sense Hera's presence everywhere, woven into the very air. In ancient Greece, peacocks were more than symbols. They were Hera's spies, their iridescent feathers tied to her all-seeing vigilance. Temples dedicated to her often kept these birds, their cries echoing through sacred courtyards as offerings piled up. You imagine priests dodging those sharp beaks. Talk about a divine security system. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some myths claim Hera crafted those eye-like spots from the actual eyes of Argus, a giant she tasked with guarding one of Zeus's lovers. When he failed, she immortalized his gaze in her bird. Creepy, right? You chuckle softly, picturing Hera's DIY taxidermy project. Historians still argue whether Argus's story was a metaphor for her paranoia or a literal divine act, but as you stare at the peacock, its feathers glinting like stars, you're leaning toward the latter. The bird pauses, tilting its head as if it knows you're thinking about it. You hold your breath, the moonlight casting your shadow long and thin across the grass. The grove feels like a sanctuary, but it's Hera's sanctuary, and you're just a visitor. You notice how the trees seem to lean in, their branches forming a canopy that traps the lunar light, creating pools of silver on the ground. It's peaceful, but there's an edge to it, like the calm before one of Hera's legendary outbursts. You think back to that pool from earlier, its whispers of her jealousy, and realize this peacock is more than a pet. It's an extension of her will, patrolling these starlit groves to keep her enemies in check. You smirk, wondering if it files reports back to her. Subject: Zeus, caught flirting again. You step forward, careful not to startle the bird, and notice a faint path winding deeper into the grove. The moonlight dances on the leaves, and you feel a pull, like Hera herself is beckoning you to follow. The peacock lets out a low cry, sharp and sudden, making you jump. Okay, maybe don't joke about her surveillance skills. The night air cools your skin, and you sense the weight of her power again. Not just in the bird but in the very stars above, each one a pinprick of her influence. You're starting to understand her world, beautiful, watchful, and just a little terrifying. The path stretches ahead, and you know there's more to uncover, more of Hera's story waiting in the moonlight's embrace. You're deeper in the grove now, the peacock's cry still echoing in your ears as you tread softly along the moonlit path, the scent of damp earth and crushed herbs rising with every step. The air feels charged, like the moment before a thunderstorm, and you can't shake the sense that Hera's watching, her jealousy a living thing that pulses in the silver light. You pause, your fingers brushing a low-hanging olive branch, its leaves slick with dew, and catch a flicker of something in the distance. A glimpse of Hera herself, her silhouette sharp against the lunar glow. Her eyes burn with a fire that makes the stars seem dim, and you realize this is it, the moment her heart flares at Zeus's wandering eye. The moonlight seems to tighten around you, as if it's conspiring with her mood, and you're pulled into the heart of her divine drama. Hera's jealousy isn't just gossip, it's a force that shaped myths and mortals alike. In ancient Greece, her role as goddess of marriage made her a symbol of fidelity, yet her husband's constant affairs were a public humiliation. Temples in her honor, like the Heraion at Samos, were built to appease her, filled with offerings to cool her wrath. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some ancient texts hint that Hera once cursed a mortal lover of Zeus with eternal hiccups. Imagine trying to flirt with a god while hiccuping non-stop. You stifle a laugh, picturing the poor soul's awkward date night. Historians still argue whether Hera's jealousy was a divine right to protect her status or a flaw that made her relatable to mortals. But as you stand here, the moonlight heavy on your shoulders, you feel the raw edge of her pain. You move closer, the path opening to a clearing where Hera stands, her golden crown catching the light like a halo of fire. She's not raging, yet, but her fingers curl tightly around a scepter, and you can almost hear her thoughts, sharp as shattered glass. Zeus, off somewhere in the mortal world, has his eyes on another maiden, and Hera knows. You see it in the way her jaw tightens, the way the moonlight seems to flinch. You think back to that peacock from the grove, its watchful eyes, and realize it's not just spying for her, it's feeding her suspicions. You smirk, wondering if Zeus ever tried bribing the bird with cosmic birdseed. Fat chance, Hera's got loyalty on lockdown. The night air grows cooler, and you feel a pang of sympathy for her, this queen caught in an endless cycle of love and betrayal. The clearing hums with her presence, the stars above twinkling like they're gossiping about her too. You notice a faint breeze stirring the grass, carrying the scent of jasmine, and it feels like Hera's trying to calm herself, to hold back the storm brewing in her chest. You're standing in the heart of her power now, where jealousy isn't just an emotion but a force that could topple kingdoms. The moonlight pools at your feet, and you sense the weight of her gaze, not on you, but on the world below, where Zeus's latest fling is probably unaware of the divine eyes tracking her every move. You take a slow breath, the night wrapping you in its quiet embrace, and know there's more to this story, more of Hera's fire waiting to ignite. You're still in the clearing, the moonlight now a sharp blade cutting through the night, illuminating Hera's form as she stands motionless. her scepter glinting like a warning. The air feels thick, heavy with the weight of her unspoken rage, and you can't help but shiver as you watch her gaze fixed on the horizon, where a golden apple gleams faintly in the distance. It's not just any apple, it's the spark that lit the fuse of the Trojan War, and Hera's jealousy is at the heart of it. You take a cautious step forward, the grass cool and damp under your feet, the scent of wildflowers mingling with something sharper, like ozone before a storm. The night seems to hold its breath, and you're drawn into the divine drama that's about to unfold, the moonlight casting long shadows that twist like conspiracies. In ancient Greece, the Trojan War was a cornerstone of myth, and Hera's role in it was pivotal. When Eris, the goddess of discord, tossed a golden apple inscribed with, "To the fairest," into a divine wedding, Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite all claimed it. Hera's pride as queen of the gods made her victory non-negotiable, but Paris, a mortal prince, chose Aphrodite, sealing Troy's fate. You smirk, imagining Hera's face when she lost. Bet it wasn't pretty. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some ancient vases depict Hera bribing Paris with promises of power, only to be outdone by Aphrodite's offer of love. Talk about a divine popularity contest gone wrong. Historians still argue whether Hera's wrath against Troy was purely personal or a calculated move to assert her dominance, but as you stand here, the moonlight sharp on her crown, you feel the sting of her wounded pride. You inch closer, the golden apple's glow drawing your eye like a moth to flame. Hera's fingers twitch, and you swear the stars dim slightly, as if they're scared to shine too brightly. You think back to that peacock from the grove, its watchful eyes, and wonder if it saw this moment coming. Hera's jealousy flaring not just at Zeus but at the audacity of a mortal daring to judge her. You chuckle softly, picturing her muttering, "Paris, you're gonna regret this." The night air swirls, carrying a faint whisper of her voice, not angry yet, but cold, precise, like a blade being sharpened. You feel the weight of her power, the kind that could set a city ablaze just to prove a point. The apple's light pulses, and you realize it's not just a fruit, it's a symbol of Hera's rivalry, her refusal to be second best. The clearing seems to shrink, the moonlight focusing on Hera like a spotlight. You notice the way her robes shimmer, woven with threads that catch the lunar glow, and you can't help but admire her, even as her jealousy simmers. She's not just a scorned goddess, she's a queen who demands the universe bend to her will. You take a slow breath, the scent of jasmine lingering from earlier, and feel the night pulling you deeper into her story. The golden apple fades into shadow, but its echo remains, a reminder of how Hera's envy sparked a war that reshaped the mortal world. You're standing on the edge of something massive now, and the moonlight feels like it's urging you to keep going, to see what Hera does next. You linger in the clearing, the golden apple's glow now a faint memory, but the moonlight feels softer, almost like it's trying to soothe the tension left in Hera's wake. You sit on a smooth boulder, its surface cool against your skin, and gaze up at the sky, where the stars twinkle like they're whispering apologies to the queen. The air carries a gentle hum, maybe the distant song of nymphs, and you feel Hera's presence shift from fury to something quieter, more introspective. The night wraps around you like a blanket, and you sense her sitting nearby, her crown glinting faintly as she stares into the lunar glow. This is a rare moment. Hera, the jealous queen, letting the moonlight calm her wrath, and you're here to witness it, the scent of wild mint rising from the earth. Hera's role as goddess of marriage made her a beacon for mortals seeking harmony, and in ancient Greece, her festivals, like the Heraia, celebrated her with races and rituals under moonlit skies. These events weren't just parties, they reinforced her power over family and fidelity. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some myths say Hera once bathed in a sacred spring to renew her virginity, a symbolic reset to cleanse Zeus's betrayals. You chuckle, imagining her dunking herself in sparkling water like it's a divine spa day. Historians still argue whether this ritual was about purity or a subtle jab at Zeus's wandering ways, but as you watch her now, her silhouette soft against the moonlight, you see a goddess trying to find peace amid the chaos of her heart. You shift on the boulder, the stone grounding you as the night deepens. Hera's eyes, usually sharp as daggers, seems softer now, reflecting the silver light like twin moons. You wonder what she's thinking, sitting here under the stars. Is she plotting her next move against Zeus's latest fling, or just savoring this fleeting calm? You think back to that peacock from the grove, its watchful eyes, and imagine it perched nearby, giving her space for once. You smirk, picturing it taking a coffee break from its spy duties. Okay, maybe ambrosia break. The moonlight pools around Hera, and you notice how it seems to cradle her, like the night itself is her ally, whispering counsel only she can hear. It's a stark contrast to the fire you saw earlier, when the golden apple sparked her rivalry. The breeze stirs, carrying a faint floral scent, and you feel the weight of Hera's dual nature. Fierce yet vulnerable, divine yet painfully human. She's not just a goddess of wrath, she's a queen who holds the threads of love and loyalty, even when they fray. You lean back, the stars above spinning stories of her power, and realize this moment of peace is temporary. The moonlight may soothe her now, but her jealousy is never far, lurking like a shadow waiting to stretch. You take a slow breath, the air cool and crisp, and feel the night urging you to stay close, to see what happens when Hera's calm breaks and the moonlight turns sharp again. You linger in the clearing, the golden apples glow now a faint memory, but the moonlight feels softer, almost like it's trying to soothe the tension left in Hera's wake. You sit on a smooth boulder, its surface cool against your skin, and gaze up at the sky, where the stars twinkle like they're whispering apologies to the queen. The air carries a gentle hum, maybe the distant song of nymphs, and you feel Hera's presence shift from fury to something quieter, more introspective. The night wraps around you like a blanket, and you sense her sitting nearby, her crown glinting faintly as she stares into the lunar glow. This is a rare moment. Hera, the jealous queen, letting the moonlight calm her wrath, and you're here to witness it, the scent of wild mint rising from the earth. Hera's role as goddess of marriage made her a beacon for mortals seeking harmony, and in ancient Greece, her festivals, like the Heraia, celebrated her with races and rituals under moonlit skies. These events weren't just parties, they reinforced her power over family and fidelity. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some myths say Hera once bathed in a sacred spring to renew her virginity, a symbolic reset to cleanse Zeus's betrayals. You chuckle, imagining her dunking herself in sparkling water like it's a divine spa day. Historians still argue whether this ritual was about purity or a subtle jab at Zeus's wandering ways, but as you watch her now, her silhouette soft against the moonlight, you see a goddess trying to find peace amid the chaos of her heart. You shift on the boulder, the stone grounding you as the night deepens. Hera's eyes, usually sharp as daggers, seem softer now, reflecting the silver light like twin moons. You wonder what she's thinking, sitting here under the stars. Is she plotting her next move against Zeus's latest fling, or just savoring this fleeting calm? You think back to that peacock from the grove, its watchful eyes, and imagine it perched nearby, giving her space for once. You smirk, picturing it taking a coffee break from its spy duties. Okay, maybe ambrosia break. The moonlight pools around Hera, and you notice how it seems to cradle her, like the night itself is her ally, whispering counsel only she can hear. It's a stark contrast to the fire you saw earlier, when the golden apple sparked her rivalry. The breeze stirs, carrying a faint floral scent, and you feel the weight of Hera's dual nature. Fierce yet vulnerable, divine yet painfully human. She's not just a goddess of wrath, she's a queen who holds the threads of love and loyalty, even when they fray. You lean back, the stars above spinning stories of her power, and realize this moment of peace is temporary. The moonlight may soothe her now, but her jealousy is never far, lurking like a shadow waiting to stretch. You take a slow breath, the air cool and crisp, and feel the night urging you to stay close, to see what happens when Hera's calm breaks and the moonlight turns sharp again. You're still wandering the Argive plains, the moonlight now casting a ghostly sheen over the rolling hills, but your steps falter as a strange mist curls around your ankles, cool and damp like a whisper from the underworld. The air shifts, carrying a faint bovine lowing, and you spot a figure in the distance. A young woman, or maybe not, her form flickering under the lunar glow. It's Io, one of Zeus's lovers, transformed by Hera's jealousy into a cow, her eyes wide with panic as she stumbles through the night. You freeze, the scent of wet grass and myrtle sharp in your nose, and feel the weight of Hera's wrath, as if the moonlight itself is her weapon, pinning Io to the earth. You're witnessing a divine punishment, and the night feels alive with Hera's unyielding power. In ancient Greece, Io's story was a cautionary tale about crossing Hera. A priestess of Argos, Io caught Zeus's eye, and Hera, ever vigilant, turned her into a cow to keep her from him. Myths say she wandered the world, tormented by a gadfly Hera sent to sting her endlessly. You wince, imagining the poor girl swatting at it. Talk about a bad day. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some ancient poets claimed Hera's gadfly was less about cruelty and more about keeping Io moving, like a divine cattle prod to steer her away from Zeus. You chuckle, picturing Hera with a cosmic remote control. Historians still argue whether Io's transformation was literal or a metaphor for exile, but as you watch her silhouette stumble under the moonlight, the terror in her eyes feels all too real. You step closer, the mist parting like a curtain, and see Io's hooves churn the earth, her low moans blending with the night's quiet hum. The moonlight seems to sharpen, as if Hera's watching from above, her peacock's eyes from the grove now multiplied in the stars. You think back to that golden apple, the spark of her rivalry, and realize Io's fate is another chapter in Hera's jealous saga. You smirk, wondering if Zeus ever tried to sneak her a sorry note. Probably not, knowing his track record. The night air grows heavier, and you feel a pang of sympathy for Io, caught in a divine lover's quarrel she didn't start. The mist swirls, and you catch a glimpse of Hera's shadow, her crown glinting like a crescent moon, her expression unreadable but fierce. You move cautiously, the grass slick under your feet, and notice how the moonlight seems to follow Io, illuminating her every step like a spotlight of divine scrutiny. Hera's power isn't just in transformation, it's in making sure no one forgets her authority. The plains feel vast yet suffocating, as if Hera's will has bound the very landscape. You take a slow breath, the air cool and tinged with a faint scent of livestock, and feel the night pulling you deeper into this tale of jealousy and retribution. Io's silhouette fades into the mist, but her story lingers, a reminder of Hera's reach under this jealous moonlight. You're still on the Argive plains, the mist from Io's plight lingering like a ghostly veil, but the moonlight shifts, brighter now, as if it's unveiling a new chapter of Hera's story. You follow a faint trail away from the plains, your sandals crunching on loose pebbles, the air thick with the scent of cedar and starlight. The sky above pulses, and you notice a shimmering band of light stretching across it, the Milky Way, glowing like a celestial river. You pause, your breath catching, because this isn't just a pretty view, it's the cosmic wonder born from Hera's rage, a tale woven into the stars themselves. The night feels vast, and you sense Hera's presence, her jealousy sparking something eternal under this lunar glow. In ancient Greek mythology, the Milky Way's origin is tied to Hera's fury. When Zeus tricked her into nursing his son Heracles, born of a mortal woman, Hera's anger erupted, and she pushed him away, her divine milk spraying across the sky to form the galaxy. You smirk, imagining the mess. Divine breastfeeding drama is next level. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some ancient storytellers claimed the Milky Way's stars were Hera's tears, not milk, shed in frustration over Zeus's endless affairs. You chuckle, picturing her wiping her eyes with a starry handkerchief. Historians still argue whether this myth was meant to explain the cosmos or highlight Hera's emotional depth, but as you gaze up, the Milky Way's glow feels like a testament to her power, both creative and destructive. You sit on a nearby rock, its surface warm from the day's heat, and let the moonlight wash over you. The Milky Way sparkles, each star a pinprick of Hera's story, and you can almost see her standing above, her crown glinting as she surveys her unintended creation. You think back to Io's transformation, the peacock's watchful eyes, and realize Hera's jealousy doesn't just punish, it reshapes the universe. You grin, wondering if Zeus ever looked up and thought, "Oops, my bad." Probably not, he's too busy dodging her next move. The night air hums, carrying a faint melody, maybe the muses singing of her triumph, and you feel the weight of her presence, not just in the stars but in the very rhythm of the night. The trail stretches on, the Milky Way casting a soft glow over the landscape, and you notice how the moonlight seems to dance with the stars, as if they're in on Hera's secrets. You stand, brushing dust from your hands, and feel a pull to keep moving, to uncover more of her cosmic legacy. The scent of cedar lingers, grounding you, but the sky above feels infinite, a canvas of Hera's rage and resilience. You take a deep breath, the air cool and crisp, and let the moonlight guide you forward, knowing that Hera's story, like the galaxy above, is far from finished. You're moving away from the Argive plains now, the Milky Way's glow still lingering in your eyes as the moonlight pulls you back toward Olympus, its peaks looming like silent giants under the starry sky. The air is cooler here, laced with the scent of pine and sacred incense, and you find yourself standing before a grand celestial court, its marble arches gleaming silver. Hera sits at its heart, her throne elevated, surrounded by lesser gods who bow their heads under her gaze. The moonlight bathes the scene, casting long shadows that dance like courtiers, and you feel the weight of her authority, as if the stars themselves are her counselors. You're in her domain now, a place where jealousy and power intertwine, and the night hums with the quiet tension of divine politics. In ancient Greece, Hera was not just queen of Olympus but a central figure in divine assemblies, her word often swaying the gods' decisions. Temples like the Heraion at Olympia hosted festivals where her statues were adorned with jewels, symbolizing her supreme status. You imagine mortals hauling those heavy offerings up the mountain, hope they stretched first. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some myths suggest Hera once convinced Apollo to lend her his sun chariot for a night, just to outshine Zeus's latest fling. You chuckle, picturing her joyriding across the sky, leaving a trail of glittery chaos. Historians still argue whether her influence over other gods was diplomatic finesse or sheer intimidation, but as you stand here, the moonlight sharp on her crown, you see a queen who commands with both grace and steel. You step closer, the marble cool under your feet, and notice the god's eyes flickering toward Hera, wary yet respectful. The moonlight seems to bend around her, as if it's afraid to cross her. You think back to the peacock in the grove, its watchful eyes, and realize this court is an extension of her vigilance, every deity a potential ally or threat. You smirk, wondering if Zeus ever tried to crash these meetings with a charming excuse, probably got the cold shoulder. The air hums with whispers, not the gossip of the plains but the calculated murmurs of divine strategy. Hera's scepter gleams, and you catch a glimpse of her expression. Calm, but with a spark of that jealousy you saw when the golden apple sparked the Trojan War. She's not just ruling, she's watching, always watching. The stars above pulse, as if echoing the rhythm of her court, and you feel small, like a mortal eavesdropping on a cosmic summit. The scent of incense grows stronger, curling around you like a warm embrace, but there's an edge to it, a reminder of Hera's power to shape destinies. You notice a faint breeze stirring the gods' robes, and the moonlight shifts, casting Hera's shadow across the court like a silent decree. You take a slow breath, the air tingling with divine energy, and feel the night urging you to stay, to witness more of Hera's rule under this jealous moonlight. The court is alive, and you know her story is about to deepen, its threads weaving through the stars. You're still in Hera's celestial court, the moonlight casting a silver glow over the marble arches, but the air shifts, growing denser, as if the stars themselves are holding their breath. You slip away from the grand assembly, your footsteps silent on the polished floor, and find yourself in a shadowed alcove where Hera stands alone, her crown glinting faintly. The scent of myrrh lingers, sharp and sacred, and you sense a secret unfolding, a pact, whispered under the lunar veil, between Hera and other gods. Her eyes are sharp, scanning the night as if it might betray her, and you realize her jealousy isn't just a reaction, it's a tool, wielded to forge alliances that tighten her grip on Olympus. The moonlight feels conspiratorial, wrapping you in its cool embrace as you eavesdrop on her divine deals. In ancient Greece, Hera's influence extended beyond mortals to the divine realm, where she often brokered pacts to maintain her authority. Myths tell of her rallying gods like Athena or Poseidon to counter Zeus's schemes, her temples serving as neutral grounds for such negotiations. You imagine her cutting deals over ambrosia. Talk about power lunches. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some obscure tales claim Hera once bribed Hypnos, the god of sleep, with a golden throne to make Zeus nap through a rival's seduction. You chuckle, picturing Zeus snoring while Hera runs the show. Historians still argue whether these pacts were strategic genius or desperate moves to curb Zeus's antics, but as you watch her now, her silhouette steady against the moonlight, you see a queen playing a cosmic chess game. You lean against the alcove's cool marble, the shadows hiding you as Hera's voice, low and commanding, carries faintly. She's speaking to a figure cloaked in starlight, maybe Iris, her messenger, or another deity sworn to secrecy. The moonlight seems to pulse with her words, as if it's sealing the pact. You think back to the peacock's watchful eyes in the grove, the golden apple's bitter rivalry, and realize these deals are extensions of Hera's vigilance, her way of keeping Zeus in check without sparking open war. You smirk, wondering if she keeps a divine ledger of favors owed, probably has Zeus in the red. The night air hums, carrying a faint echo of her voice, and you feel the weight of her power, not just in wrath but in cunning. The alcove feels like a pocket of time, the moonlight softer here, as if giving Hera space to scheme. You notice a faint shimmer on the floor, like spilled starlight, and it reminds you of the Milky Way's birth, another mark of her influence. Her pacts aren't just about control, they're about survival, ensuring her throne remains unchallenged. You take a slow breath, the scent of myrrh grounding you, and feel the night pulling you deeper into her world. The stars above wink, as if they know her secrets, and you sense the balance of Olympus shifting under her careful hand. The moonlight guides you forward, urging you to follow her next move in this intricate dance of power and jealousy. You slip away from the shadowed alcove, the echo of Hera's whispered pact fading as the moonlight beckons you downward, back to the mortal world, to the city of Argos bathed in lunar glow. Your feet find a winding path, the air warm and heavy with the scent of olive groves and baked clay, as you step into Hera's sacred city. The streets are quiet, save for the soft hum of night creatures, and the temples loom like silent guardians, their marble columns gleaming silver. You feel Hera's presence everywhere, her power woven into the city's stones, and the moonlight seems to linger on her sanctuaries, as if it's her gaze illuminating the night. You're walking through her heartland now, where her worship thrums under the stars. In ancient Greece, Argos was Hera's spiritual capital, its Heraian temple a masterpiece of Doric architecture, drawing pilgrims who offered gold and peacock feathers to honor her. The city thrived under her protection, its people believing she shielded them from invaders. You picture them hauling offerings up these hills, hope they had good cardio. Here's a quirky tidbit. Local myths claim Hera once gifted Argos a spring that never dried, but only if its people swore to snub Zeus's lovers. You chuckle, imagining a city-wide No Zeus fan club pledge. Historians still argue whether Argos's devotion to Hera was pure faith or a political move to curry her favor, but as you stand here, the moonlight warm on your skin, you feel her undeniable hold over this place. You pause by a temple's steps, the stone worn smooth by countless feet, and run your fingers over a carved peacock relief, its eyes glinting like they're watching you. The moonlight pools around the altar, where faint traces of ancient offerings, dried flowers, maybe, still linger. You think back to the celestial court, Hera's calculated pacts, and realize Argos is her earthly mirror, a city bound to her will. You smirk, wondering if Zeus ever tried sneaking in here disguised as a tourist. Bet Hera's peacocks would have ratted him out. The night air carries a faint chant, maybe an echo of ancient priests, and you feel the city pulse with her energy, every corner lit by her jealous moonlight. The streets wind on, the moonlight guiding you past homes and marketplaces, all quiet under her watchful gaze. You notice how the shadows seem to shift, as if the city itself is alive, loyal to its queen. The scent of olive oil lingers, grounding you, and you sense the night deepening, the stars above whispering of Hera's power. You're not just in Argos, You're in her story, where every stone and star reflects her glory and her grudges. You take a slow breath, the air warm and faintly sweet, and feel the moonlight urging you to keep exploring, to uncover more of Hera's reign in this luminous city. You're still weaving through the moonlit streets of Argos, the glow casting long shadows that dance across the cobblestones, but the air grows heavier, charged with a restless energy as you sense Hera's attention shifting. You follow the path to a rocky outcrop overlooking the city, the scent of wild sage sharp in your nose, and there, under the silver light, you catch a glimpse of a figure laboring in the distance. Heracles, Zeus's son, his muscles straining as he faces another of Hera's endless trials. The moonlight seems to sharpen, as if it's Hera's gaze pinning him down, her jealousy a living force that haunts his every step. You lean against a jagged rock, the night alive with her wrath, and feel the weight of her vendetta against this half-mortal hero. In ancient Greece, Heracles was Hera's greatest target, his very existence a reminder of Zeus's betrayal with a mortal woman, Alcmene. Myths tell of Hera driving him to madness, forcing him to endure 12 brutal labors as punishment. You wince, thinking of him wrestling lions and cleaning stables. Talk about a rough gig. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some stories claim Hera sent a flock of her sacred peacocks to screech at Heracles during his labors, just to mess with his focus. You chuckle, picturing him swatting at those noisy birds like they're cosmic hecklers. Historians still argue whether Hera's torment was pure vengeance or a test to forge Heracles' legend, but as you watch his silhouette struggle under the moonlight, you feel the raw edge of her fury, unrelenting and precise. You shift on the outcrop, the rock cool against your palms, and notice how the moonlight seems to follow Heracles, illuminating his every move like a cruel spotlight. You think back to Io's plight, her bovine form stumbling through the plains, and realize Hera's jealousy doesn't discriminate, mortal or demigod, no one escapes her wrath. You smirk, wondering if Zeus ever tried to slip Heracles a divine, get-out-of-jail-free card. Fat chance with Hera's peacocks on patrol. The night air hums, carrying faint echoes of Heracles' grunts as he battles some unseen beast, and you feel a pang of sympathy for him, caught in a divine grudge he didn't choose. The stars above glitter, as if whispering tales of his trials, and you sense Hera's presence, her crown a faint gleam in the distance. The outcrop offers a view of Argos below, its temples glowing like beacons under her protection, but your eyes are drawn to Heracles, his struggle a stark contrast to the city's calm. The moonlight feels like her weapon, exposing his every weakness. You take a slow breath, the scent of sage grounding you, and feel the night pulling you deeper into this saga of divine vengeance. Hera's trials for Heracles aren't just punishment, they're a statement, etched in sweat and moonlight, that her power reigns supreme. You glance at the stars, wondering what's next in her relentless campaign, and let the lunar glow guide you forward, ready for more of her story. You're still weaving through the moonlit streets of Argos, the glow casting long shadows that dance across the cobblestones, but the air grows heavier, charged with a restless energy as you sense Hera's attention shifting. You follow the path to a rocky outcrop overlooking the city, the scent of wild sage sharp in your nose, and there, under the silver light, you catch a glimpse of a figure laboring in the distance. Heracles, Zeus's son, his muscles straining as he faces another of Hera's endless trials. The moonlight seems to sharpen, as if it's Hera's gaze pinning him down, her jealousy a living force that haunts his every step. You lean against a jagged rock, the night alive with her wrath, and feel the weight of her vendetta against this half-mortal hero. In ancient Greece, Heracles was Hera's greatest target, his very existence a reminder of Zeus's betrayal with a mortal woman, Alcmene. Myths tell of Hera driving him to madness, forcing him to endure 12 brutal labors as punishment. You wince, thinking of him wrestling lions and cleaning stables. Talk about a rough gig. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some stories claim Hera sent a flock of her sacred peacocks to screech at Heracles during his labors, just to mess with his focus. You chuckle, picturing him swatting at those noisy birds like they're cosmic hecklers. Historians still argue whether Hera's torment was pure vengeance or a test to forge Heracles' legend, but as you watch his silhouette struggle under the moonlight, You feel the raw edge of her fury, unrelenting and precise. You shift on the outcrop, the rock cool against your palms, and notice how the moonlight seems to follow Heracles, illuminating his every move like a cruel spotlight. You think back to Io's plight, her bovine forms stumbling through the plains, and realize Hera's jealousy doesn't discriminate, mortal or demigod, no one escapes her wrath. You smirk, wondering if Zeus ever tried to slip Heracles a divine, get-out-of-jail-free card. Fat chance with Hera's peacocks on patrol. The night air hums, carrying faint echoes of Heracles' grunts as he battles some unseen beast, and you feel a pang of sympathy for him, caught in a divine grudge he didn't choose. The stars above glitter, as if whispering tales of his trials, and you sense Hera's presence, her crown a faint gleam in the distance. The outcrop offers a view of Argos below, its temples glowing like beacons under her protection, but your eyes are drawn to Heracles, his struggle a stark contrast to the city's calm. The moonlight feels like her weapon, exposing his every weakness. You take a slow breath, the scent of sage grounding you, and feel the night pulling you deeper into this saga of divine vengeance. Hera's trials for Heracles aren't just punishment, they're a statement, etched in sweat and moonlight, that her power reigns supreme. You glance at the stars, wondering what's next in her relentless campaign, and let the lunar glow guide you forward, ready for more of her story. You're still perched on the rocky outcrop overlooking Argos, the moonlight now soft and dreamlike, as if it's weaving a spell across the night. The distant struggles of Heracles fade, and you feel a pull, like a whisper in your mind, drawing you toward a secluded grove where a faint glow pulses from an ancient oracle shrine. The air is thick with the scent of laurel and smoldering herbs, and you sense Hera's presence, not in fury but in quiet command, her voice guiding mortals through dreams under this lunar veil. You step closer, your sandals silent on the mossy ground, the moonlight casting intricate patterns through the trees, and you realize you're about to hear her divine counsel, a rare glimpse into her role as a shaper of fates. In ancient Greece, Hera was revered as a goddess who spoke through oracles, her words delivered by priestesses in sacred sites like the Heraeon of Argos, where pilgrims sought her guidance on marriage and destiny. These oracles were believed to channel her will, often under moonlit rituals. You imagine sleepy pilgrims waiting for her cryptic advice, hope they brought snacks. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some myths claim Hera's oracles required priestesses to sleep on peacock feathers to receive her visions, as if her sacred bird could carry dreams. You chuckle, picturing a priestess sneezing through a feather-induced nap. Historians still argue whether these oracles were genuine divine messages or clever ploys to boost Hera's influence, but as you stand by the shrine, the moonlight warm on your skin, you feel her voice like a hum in the air. You pause at the shrine's entrance, a low stone arch draped in ivy, and catch a faint murmur, like Hera herself whispering through the night. The moonlight seems to ripple, as if carrying her words, and you imagine mortals kneeling here, their dreams shaped by her guidance. You think back to the celestial court, her calculated pacts, and realize this oracle is another thread in her web of power, binding mortals to her will. You smirk, wondering if Zeus ever tried sneaking a peek at her dream messages, probably got a divine access denied. The air grows heavier, the scent of herbs sharpening, and you feel a dreamlike haze settling over you, as if Hera's voice is brushing your thoughts, urging you to listen closely. The grove feels alive, the moonlight dancing on the leaves like a silent oracle, and you notice a single peacock feather glinting nearby, a reminder of her watchful eyes from the grove you wandered earlier. Her guidance isn't just words, it's a force, shaping lives under the stars. You take a slow breath, the air cool and fragrant, and feel the night pulling you deeper into her world, where dreams and destinies intertwine. The shrine's glow fades, but its echo lingers, a testament to Hera's quiet power. You step back, the moonlight guiding you forward, ready to uncover more of her story under this jealous sky. You step away from the oracle's grove, the whisper of Hera's voice still tingling in your mind, as the moonlight grows brighter, almost blinding, casting the world in a stark silver glow. You're back on the slopes of Olympus now, the air sharp with pine and a faint metallic tang, like the edge of a storm. The stars seem to pulse faster, and you feel Hera's presence intensify, her jealousy flaring like a flame fed by the lunar light itself. You pause, your breath catching, as you sense her gaze sweeping the night, locking onto some unseen rival far below. The moonlight isn't just illuminating now, it's amplifying her suspicions, turning the night into a stage for her divine scrutiny. You're caught in its glow, the scent of wild thyme grounding you as you witness the jealous moon's power over her heart. In ancient Greece, the moon was often linked to Hera, its cycles tied to her role as goddess of women and marriage, with lunar festivals honoring her in cities like Argos. You picture priestesses chanting under this same silver light, their voices rising to appease her. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some myths claim Hera could summon moonlight to spy on Zeus's lovers, like a divine flashlight catching them in the act. You chuckle, imagining her aiming moonbeams like a cosmic laser pointer. Historians still argue whether these lunar connections were symbolic of her emotional tides or a literal extension of her power, but as you stand here, the moonlight heavy on your shoulders, you feel it's both, her suspicions sharpened by the night's glow. You move forward, the slope leveling into a plateau where Hera stands, her silhouette sharp against the sky, her crown glinting like a crescent moon. The air hums with her energy, and you notice how the moonlight seems to bend toward her, as if drawn to her will. You think back to Io's transformation, Heracles' trials, and realize this lunar glow is her ally, exposing every secret Zeus tries to hide. You smirk, wondering if he ever tried blaming the moon for ratting him out. Good luck selling that one. The night feels alive, the stars above whispering of her vigilance, and you sense her suspicions growing, each ray of moonlight a thread in her web of control. The plateau is quiet, save for a faint breeze stirring her robes, and you feel small, like a mortal caught in her gaze. The moonlight pools at your feet, and you notice a faint shimmer, like the peacock feathers you've seen before, glinting nearby. It's as if her watchful eyes are everywhere, even in the light itself. The scent of pine grows stronger, and you feel the night urging you to stay, to see what Hera's amplified suspicions will uncover next. Her power isn't just in punishment, it's in perception, in seeing what others miss under this jealous glow. You take a slow breath, the air cool and electric, and let the moonlight guide you deeper into her world, where every shadow holds a secret and every star a story. You're still on the Olympian plateau, the moonlight now a steady pulse, wrapping Hera's form in a silver halo as you stand just out of her sight, the air thick with the scent of myrtle and sacred smoke. Her gaze is fixed on the mortal world below, where torch-lit villages flicker like fireflies, and you sense her focus sharpening, not on Zeus's latest fling but on her sacred domain, marriage itself. You step closer, your sandals brushing against cool stone, and feel the night hum with her resolve, the moonlight casting her as both protector and enforcer of vows. The stars above seem to lean in, as if they're witnesses to her divine mission, and you're drawn into her role as guardian of love's promises under this starry sky. In ancient Greece, Hera was the goddess of marriage, her temples like those in Argos serving as sanctuaries where couples swore lifelong vows, believing her blessings ensured fidelity. Her festivals, like the Theogamia, celebrated her union with Zeus, despite its rocky reality. You picture nervous brides offering her honey cakes, hope they didn't skimp on the good stuff. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some myths say Hera cursed cheating spouses with dreams of her peacocks chasing them, their screeches a nightly reminder of broken vows. You chuckle, imagining a philanderer waking up in a cold sweat, dodging imaginary feathers. Historians still argue whether Hera's protection of marriage was about divine duty or a personal crusade to mirror her own struggles, but as you watch her now, her scepter gleaming in the moonlight, you see a queen fiercely guarding what she holds sacred. You pause by a low altar, its surface etched with symbols of unity, and notice the moonlight pooling around it, as if Hera's blessing lingers. Her presence feels both warm and stern, like a mother who loves but doesn't forgive easily. You think back to the oracle's whispers, the celestial court's pacts, and realize her role as marriage's guardian is another layer of her power, binding mortals and gods to her will. You smirk, wondering if Zeus ever tried renewing his vows to smooth things over. Bet he'd trip over the words. The night air carries a faint hymn, maybe an echo of ancient brides, and you feel the weight of her authority, not just in wrath but in upholding the vows that tie the world together. The plateau stretches wide, the moonlight painting the stones in shades of silver and shadow, and you notice a single olive branch nearby, its leaves catching the light like a quiet offering. Hera's protection isn't just about punishment, it's about preserving order, even when her own heart aches. You take a slow breath, the scent of smoke and myrtle grounding you, and feel the night urging you to stay close, to witness more of her sacred duty. The stars above twinkle, as if pledging their own loyalty to her, and you sense the moonlight guiding you deeper into her story, where love and jealousy are forever entwined. You're still on the Olympian plateau, the moonlight now a restless shimmer, casting Hera's shadow long and sharp across the stone as you edge away from the altar, the scent of myrtle fading into a sharper tang of ozone. The air crackles, and you sense a shift. Hera's gaze isn't on marriage vows now but on Zeus, slipping through the night like a thief, his latest trick unfolding far below. You follow her line of sight, your steps cautious on the rocky slope, the moonlight exposing every detail of the mortal world where he's weaving another deception. The stars seem to flicker with disapproval, and you feel the night tense, as if it's bracing for Hera's reaction to this betrayal under her watchful lunar gaze. In ancient Greek myths, Zeus was a master of disguise, transforming into animals or mortals to pursue his lovers, often slipping past Hera's vigilance. Stories of him as a swan or a golden shower were whispered in temples, cautionary tales of divine infidelity. You imagine Hera rolling her eyes at his antics, probably keeps a list of his worst costumes. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some tales claim Zeus once hid as a cloud to dodge Hera's peacocks, only for her to summon a storm to blow him away. You chuckle, picturing him sneezing through a soggy disguise. Historians still argue whether these stories were meant to humanize the gods or warn mortals of their chaos. But as you stand here, the moonlight heavy on your shoulders, you feel Hera's frustration, her power tested by Zeus's endless schemes. You pause at the plateau's edge, the world below a tapestry of torchlight and shadow, and catch a glimpse of Zeus's form, maybe a mortal prince tonight, slipping into a village. The moonlight seems to chase him, as if Hera's willing it to expose his every move. You think back to the peacock's eyes in the grove, the oracle's whispers, and realize her vigilance is a constant battle, one she fights with light and cunning. You smirk, wondering if Zeus ever tried bribing the moon itself. Good luck outsmarting Hera's cosmic spotlight. The night air hums, carrying a faint echo of her anger, and you feel a pang of sympathy for her, forever tracking a husband who can't stay put. The slope descends, the moonlight guiding you closer to the mortal world, where Zeus's betrayal plays out. You notice a single star flickering brighter, as if signaling Hera's next move, and the air grows cooler, the scent of ozone sharpening. Her power isn't just in punishment, it's in persistence, in never letting Zeus's tricks go unseen. You take a slow breath, the night wrapping you in its tense embrace, and feel the moonlight urging you to follow, to see how Hera counters this latest betrayal. The stars above whisper of her resolve, and you know her story is far from over, its threads weaving through the night's restless glow. You're descending the Olympian slope now, the moonlight sharp and unrelenting, cutting through the night like a blade as you follow Hera's gaze to a mortal village below, where Zeus's latest betrayal unfolds. The air is thick with the scent of wood smoke and blooming jasmine, but it's laced with a storm's electric edge, signaling Hera's rising fury. You pause on a rocky ledge, your heart pounding, as you spot a lone figure, a mortal woman, unaware of the divine eyes tracking her under the lunar glow. Hera's wrath is palpable, the moonlight amplifying her anger as she prepares to unleash it on this rival, her power surging like a tide. The stars above seem to dim, as if bracing for the tempest, and you feel the night quiver with her unleashed vengeance. In ancient Greek myths, Hera's punishments for Zeus's lovers were legendary, often transforming them into animals or cursing them with endless torment. Semele, another of his paramours, was tricked by Hera into seeing Zeus in his divine form, incinerating her instantly. You wince, thinking of the poor woman's fate. Talk about a fatal date night. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some stories claim Hera sent a swarm of fireflies to buzz around Semele's home, their glow mimicking the moonlight to lure Zeus out. You chuckle, picturing Hera weaponizing bugs like a divine prankster. Historians still argue whether Hera's wrath was righteous justice or unchecked jealousy, but as you stand here, the moonlight searing the village below, you feel the raw force of her anger, a queen defending her throne. You lean forward, the ledge's rough stone biting into your palms, and watch as the moonlight seems to coil around the woman's home, like Hera's will made manifest. You think back to Io's bovine plight, Heracles' trials, and realize this is Hera's pattern, striking with precision when betrayal stings. You smirk, wondering if Zeus ever tried sending Hera a cosmic apology letter. Probably got burned to ash. The night air crackles, the jasmine scent overwhelmed by the storm's approach, and you hear a low rumble, maybe thunder or Hera's own voice, echoing through the sky. The woman below moves unaware, her silhouette fragile against the lunar glare, and you feel a pang of dread for her, caught in Hera's crosshairs. The village glows under the moonlight, its thatched roofs and stone walls stark against the night, and you notice a peacock feather glinting nearby, a reminder of Hera's ever-watchful eyes from the grove. Her wrath isn't just personal, it's a declaration, a reminder to gods and mortals alike that her power is absolute. You take a slow breath, the air electric and heavy, and feel the night urging you to stay, to witness the full force of Hera's lunar-fueled vengeance. The stars flicker, as if whispering warnings, and you know this moment is a turning point, the moonlight carrying you deeper into her story of jealousy and divine retribution. You're still on the rocky ledge, the moonlight now a fierce spotlight, pinning the village below as Hera's wrath lingers in the air like the aftermath of a lightning strike. The scent of ozone fades, replaced by a cool breeze carrying hints of cedar and starlit dew, and you feel the night shift, the stars above aligning as if guided by Hera's hand. You step back from the edge, your sandals scraping against stone, and sense her presence redirecting, not toward vengeance now but toward shaping destinies. The moonlight softens, bathing the world in a silver glow, and you realize you're witnessing Hera at her most powerful, not just punishing rivals but weaving the fates of gods and mortals under this celestial canopy. The night hums with purpose, and you're drawn deeper into her cosmic influence. In ancient Greece, Hera was more than a jealous queen, she was a goddess who influenced destinies, her will reflected in oracles and omens that guided kings and heroes. Myths tell of her blessing or cursing entire bloodlines, like the House of Atreus, to shape history's course. You picture priests decoding her signs by moonlight, probably needed a strong coffee to keep up. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some tales claim Hera once rearranged constellations to confuse a mortal king who defied her, making his sailors lose their way. You chuckle, imagining her playing cosmic connect the dots. Historians still argue whether her destiny shaping was divine strategy or personal vendetta, but as you stand here, the stars pulsing above, you feel her power to bend fate like a weaver at a loom. You move toward a clearing, the moonlight guiding you to a flat stone etched with ancient symbols, glowing faintly as if touched by her hand. The stars seem to align in patterns that tell stories, of Troy's fall, Heracles' trials, Io's wanderings, all threads in Hera's tapestry. You think back to the oracle's whispers, the peacock's watchful eyes, and realize her influence stretches beyond jealousy, crafting legacies that echo through time. You smirk, wondering if Zeus ever tried to sneak his own stars into her sky. Bet she'd rearrange them just to spite him. The air grows lighter, the cedar scent soothing, and you feel the night's rhythm, each star a note in Hera's cosmic symphony, her power shaping the world from this lofty perch. The clearing feels sacred, the moonlight pooling around the stone like a silent vow, and you notice a faint shimmer, like the Milky Way's glow you saw earlier, linking her wrath to creation. Hera's not just a goddess of vengeance, she's a force of order, aligning destinies under the stars. You take a slow breath, the air cool and crisp, and feel the night urging you to linger, to see how her story unfolds as the stars shift. The moonlight wraps you in its gentle glow, and you know her power is vast, her will etched in the heavens, ready to guide you to the final chapter of this celestial tale. You're still in the clearing, the etched stone under your fingertips glowing faintly as the moonlight begins to soften, its sharp edges melting into a gentle shimmer. The air is cooler now, carrying the scent of dew-kissed laurel and fading cedar, and you sense the night drawing to a close, the stars above dimming as dawn whispers on the horizon. You turn, your eyes catching Hera's silhouette on the Olympian peak, her crown catching the last rays of lunar light as she gazes over the world below. The moonlight feels like a farewell, its glow wrapping her in a quiet majesty, and you realize you're standing at the edge of her story, where jealousy and power give way to a serene dawn. The night hums softly, and you feel her presence settling, as if the stars themselves are bowing out. In ancient Greece, Hera's worship often culminated in dawn rituals, where priests and pilgrims greeted the sunrise at her temples, like the Heraean of Argos, to honor her as the queen who bridged night and day. These ceremonies marked her as a goddess of renewal, not just wrath. You picture sleepy devotees stumbling to light torches, hope they had a good breakfast. Here's a quirky tidbit. Some myths say Hera's peacocks would crow at dawn, not to wake her but to signal her shift from vengeance to vigilance. You chuckle, imagining those birds as her personal alarm clock. Historians still argue whether these dawn rituals symbolized her mercy or just her enduring watchfulness, but as you watch her now, the moonlight fading, you see a queen ready to face a new day, her power undimmed. You step closer to the peak, the stone path smooth under your feet, and notice how the moonlight lingers on Hera, as if reluctant to let her go. The stars fade, but her presence remains, a force that shaped Io's plight, Heracles' trials, and the Milky Way itself. You think back to the golden apple, the oracle's whispers, and smile, wondering if Zeus ever tried to charm his way into her dawn rituals. Bet he'd get a peacock feather to the face. The air grows lighter, the scent of laurel soothing, and you feel the night's tension unravel, the moonlight guiding you toward closure. Hera's silhouette softens, her gaze less fierce, as if the dawn is her moment of peace, a pause before the next cosmic drama. The horizon glows, a faint pink threading through the sky, and you sense the world slowing, the night stories settling like dust. You sit on a nearby rock, the stone warm from the fading night, and let the moment wash over you. Hera's power, her jealousy, her pacts and punishments, they're all part of this vast tapestry, woven under the moonlight you followed. The stars wink out, one by one, and you feel a calm settle, the night's hum fading to a whisper. The dawn creeps closer now, its soft light brushing the edges of Olympus, and you feel the world hush, as if Hera herself is bidding the night goodbye. The air is gentle, the scent of laurel wrapping you like a warm blanket, and you imagine her stepping back, her crown catching the first rays of sunrise. You're safe here, the stories of her wrath and wisdom fading into the morning's embrace. Let the moonlight linger in your dreams, a silver thread tying you to her tale. Close your eyes, let the dawn's warmth soothe you, and drift into sleep, knowing Hera's story rests under the stars.
you.